In the late 1960s, a wave of counterculture swept across America. It was the era of peace, love, and music, the summer of love. But beneath this vibrant surface, a darkness was brewing, a shadow that would soon cast a permanent stain on the idyllic hippie dream. In the sun-drenched hills of California, a charismatic ex-convict was gathering a following, a family bound by a twisted ideology. This is the story of Charles Manson, his devoted followers, and a series of brutal slayings that shocked the world and signaled the violent end of an era. The Tate-LaBianca murders remain one of the most infamous crimes in American history, a chilling reminder of how easily manipulation can spiral into unimaginable horror. Charles Manson, a career criminal who had spent half his life in institutions, was released from prison in 1967. He drifted into the heart of the hippie movement in San Francisco, a place teeming with young, disillusioned souls searching for meaning. Manson, a failed musician with an undeniable charisma, offered them an alternative reality. He was a master manipulator, weaving a web of control using music, drugs, and a bizarre apocalyptic prophecy he called Helter Skelter. He preached that an impending race war would tear society apart, and that he and his family would emerge from the chaos to rule. They settled at Spawn Ranch, a desolate movie set on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Here, in isolation, Manson's control tightened. His rhetoric grew more violent, and his followers' devotion became absolute. They were no longer individuals. They were instruments of his will. On the night of August 8, 1969, Manson's dark prophecy was set into motion. He sent 4 of his most loyal followers to a secluded home at 10,050 Cielo Drive in Beverly Hills. The house was rented by director Roman Polanski and his wife, the 8.5 months pregnant actress, Sharon Tate. Under the cover of darkness, the group cut the phone lines and scaled the property gate. The night of terror began with the murder of Stephen Parent, an 18-year-old who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Inside the home, the scene devolved into a massacre. Sharon Tate, her friends Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, and Wojciech Frykowski were subjected to unspeakable violence. When the police arrived the next morning, they discovered a scene of pure carnage. The word pig was scrawled in blood on the front door, a gruesome calling card meant to ignite the Helter Skelter war Manson had envisioned. Los Angeles was paralyzed with fear. The sheer brutality and randomness of the Cielo Drive murders left the city on edge. But the horror was not over. Just 2 nights later, on August 10th, Manson himself joined his followers. He was dissatisfied with the panic the first murders had caused, feeling it wasn't chaotic enough. He chose a new target at random, the home of supermarket executive Leno LaBianca and his wife, Rosemary. Manson entered the house and tied up the couple, assuring them they would not be harmed before leaving his followers to carry out the killings. The scene they left behind was even more gruesome than the first. The words "Death to Pigs" and "Rise" were written in blood on the walls, and Helter Skelter was misspelled on the refrigerator door. The city was now in the grip of full-blown terror, believing a crazed killer was on the loose. The investigation was initially fraught with confusion, and for weeks, the 2 murder scenes were not connected. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a member of the Manson family, Susan Atkins, who was in custody for an unrelated crime. She boasted to a cellmate about her involvement in the Tate murders, a confession that unraveled the entire conspiracy. Soon, Charles Manson and his key followers were arrested. The trial that followed was a media circus. Manson, reveling in the attention, was a defiant and disruptive presence in the courtroom. He and his female followers carved X's into their foreheads, demonstrating their unwavering loyalty and contempt for the system. Despite Manson not physically committing the murders at Cielo Drive, the prosecution successfully argued that his manipulative control and his helter-skelter ideology made him directly responsible. In 1971, Manson and his co-defendants were found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. which was later commuted to life in prison. The Manson family murders sent a shockwave through the culture. The image of peace-loving hippies was shattered, replaced by the terrifying reality of a murderous cult. The case marked a symbolic end to the innocence of the 1960s, proving that even a movement built on love could be corrupted by darkness. The legacy of Charles Manson has endured for decades, a subject of countless books, documentaries, and a morbid fascination. The crimes left a permanent scar on Hollywood and served as a stark warning about the dangers of charismatic leaders and malign devotion. The events of those 2 August nights serve as a grim monument in true crime history, a story where the fiction of a peaceful utopia was violently ripped apart by a much darker reality. By the way, I do have something that is valuable for daily lives, and I want to share it with you. I have items like menswear, women's wear, gadgets, accessories, healthy products, and so much more. If you'd like to check it out, the link is in the description. But if you're watching on TikTok, you can check more items on my showcase that will be linked on my TikTok account. Like if this case shocked you. Subscribe for more real-life horror stories. Comment your theory below. And share to support EerieDoseYT. Thank you for watching. This is the last episode of the Serial Killer All Around the World playlist on my YouTube channel. And I hope to see you in the next story, because the next episodes will be hauntings and paranormal claims. Subscribe to find out.